Yeah, collect cards and
What is it?
Okay, guys, so,
It's 100 pounds a square foot?
Yeah, but the code
that was a
says.
good little breakfast, I'll tell you. There was an avalanche of yawns going on here.
No, the 101.
And that lasagna was damn good.
101.
And if we bought some pillows and blankets, if we all be rolling in the side over here, and the little carpet's getting
It's
that
not
little
an
quick
IBC
afternoon
building,
nap.
it's an IRC.
These 6-hour courses, they're pretty tough and they're pretty tight, but you know, like anything else, the example here
Not for that, it is not.
is to keep the information fresh and keep going. So you're learning more about fire safety than anybody else. The question is, how do you use this information for the next guy? And that is why we record it, we put it online, start creating classes, and or part of your training for all the new recruits.
Not for one family going.
All the, you know, through the fire chief, through the training officer. So in the city of Elizabeth, which we're gonna feature very shortly, we did 400 trainees in a week.
Not a 1 or 2.
And we only gave them a 1-hour class. Okay? And the 1-hour class is basically to make them aware that they're the additional eyeballs in the field to find these things through a lot of their training. So the very guys that are gonna change everything are the very guys that are gonna be using this video to train from home. You know what I'm saying? And they're just gonna watch and see the issue with fire escapes, because they're gonna be the people that are gonna carry the torch forward when you guys are no longer pushing this issue forward, okay? So that's why we record this. We can, you know, a lot of the YouTube channels, you have a download button. You hit download, you can actually download it onto your hard drive. So, as you know, a lot of your cities, they stop access to the YouTube and to the internet because you know, we were using it for the wrong reasons back then. But now, just be aware, so you can, any of these videos you see, hit the download button, it'll actually download a hard drive version of it, you can burn it to a CD, and that way you can just watch it at any of your monthly training classes. Just have your guys watch this. And like I said before, get the recruits to be the guys walking the downtown alleys. Fire escape watchers, they're the spotters. Got it? It's a great thing to basically, and they're gonna say, why am I doing this? You say, because that's, you know, you either have that permanent structure, which is an escape structure, or the ladder that comes on the truck is an escape structure. Pick one or both. But they're both, you're gonna have confidence in both. And because we test these in case anything goes on with these trucks, we're gonna test these to make sure that you know that. You know, when people are getting out of these buildings, you're not helping. They're self-evacuating. They're out by themselves. They don't need you. But as we get in or get out of these buildings, we can use these things because we have that big white sticker on them. And they say they're fine. Got it? So you need to start letting the people at the beginning stages know that this is very important to them. All right, so now let's take a look inside this is how fire escapes are built. So if you look inside here, every fire escape has been built this way. We're gonna end up on cantilevers and ladders. We're gonna talk about, so when you start looking on the inside, this is how every fire escape is ever built for 100+ years. None of them are built any different than this, okay? So let's take a look at this. All steel that goes into a building only goes in 8 to 12 inches deep, guys, that's it. It doesn't go 2 feet deep in your building, 8 to 12 inches deep. So if you put a lot of pressure on this that doesn't have a brace, what's gonna happen in this area? You put all the pressure there, right? It's simple physics, it'll blow out that cement, right? So when you lose a bracket or you lose a leg to the ground, what happens to that structure that's still up in the air? You know, you load it incorrectly, that's when it falls. Otherwise, it'll support itself. But you put people and elephants on there, what happened? Okay? So this is how every fire escape support starts. They open a hole in the wall in 1910, they stuck this steel in there, and then they packed it with cement. That's it.
That hole has to be so far in based on the size of the,
8 to 12 inches deep, that's it.
no matter how size the,
No matter how size.
really?
Your brick is only 3. Your wall, your typical wall on any is 2 or 3 courses of red brick, done. A factory, yeah, the pig factories you guys had out here, they're like 2 to 3 feet of wall because it was all self-supporting. Don't forget, a lot of these structures that we're talking about, a lot of them had steel girders, that was the makeup. So everything made that basically the steel held up the building. The dirty brick on the inside and the veneer was just that. But factories, yeah, some of your mills and stuff, yeah.
I think,
but it's still only buried so deep.
I think the reason I was thinking that is because like, say an apartment house, you have a balcony, depending on the size of the balcony, the stringers have,
No, that's a different thing. That's a self-supporting sea channel. That's not what I'm
Okay.
saying here.
all right,
All
That's
fire
all
escapes
32.
only go into the building 8 to 12 inches deep. You get a self-supporting waiting balcony, you're talking about even with 2x12s or whatever, there's so much into the building and only so much sticking out to 1/3, 2/3 rule or whatever it may be.
right.
Girders and I-beam, same thing, yeah. So if all of a sudden it's a self-supporting sea channel that sticks out only 4 feet, you may have 3 feet into the building tied back. That's correct.
Okay,
But a standard fire escape built for 100 years plus only goes 8 to 12 inches deep.
wow.
Got it?
Even some of the balconies from that era as well, only went
Everything.
8 to 10 inches, it didn't matter.
Everything.
Roads changed 1/3, 2/3, we progressed in time. So when we hit like 1950, 1960, they started for over balconies and for cantilevered porches and stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's when that happened, was in the 50s
But
and
no,
60s.
nobody's doing cantilevered fire escapes. There's a few out there, but every fire escape, 98% of all the fire escapes are not cantilevered fire escapes. They're all support fire escapes. So this is what it looks like. So that one has a bracket on it, right?
Yep.
This one has no bracket on it because somebody took it out and never put it back. This single one is holding 2 staircases that are falling already, right? Yet somebody took out the bracket that belonged here. So it's only a matter of time when people, firemen and things sitting on this edge here does what? He's gonna rip this whole staircase out of the wall. Got it?
That's no good.
So what you're looking at is, this is what stops those singles. It's this bracket here that's gonna give it all the support. By the way, a lot of times you see across a building, a lot of singles, right? And then all of a sudden, there's just 1 or 2 brackets towards the ends. You know what's holding up all the singles in the middle? The railing is acting like a truss. So the truss is the railing, holding up all the singles that tie in on the ends with the brackets, and then the only reason that the brackets go out and tie into the rail is to hold up the grating. But the span, the truss, is a rail. Master's degree in reverse stupidity. Been there, done that. So that's why, so a lot of the stuff you'll learn after a while, and this is coast to coast, guys. So there's been no changes in fire escape building, coast to coast. So a lot of these brackets have a single bolt or a gusset, and they always tie back into the building. And this is what they do. They'll throw water in there. Ice jacking and rust jacking does what to cement? Spalls it. You gotta repack. Inside, the through bolts, a lot of factories will have this issue. The spacers on the inside are too small. And what do they do to the individual bricks? Pull them right through, though, too much pressure, so it has to be a bigger plate. Got it? It'll squish right in.
Pulling through.
How do
You
you
get
fix
enough
that?
water growing on a building, what's gonna happen?
Moisture.
Ferns,
Brick's porous.
moss. So a lot of times, what you see from above is not what's really happening from down below. You keep feeding it water. This is 1 inch of rust, 3/4 to 1 inch of rust on a library in Boston. So for those of you that are still growing some of the exotic ferns that are now being legalized in America, fire escapes. Okay? Can do it. So there's another way to get a fire escape. So every now and then we have a situation where we have a bad situation and the brackets are not, you're not comfortable with the wall, put a leg on it. But there's another way that all the legs to the ground sit on a sono. 3 to 4 feet below the frost line. Okay? So that's the only other way. If you don't do a bracket to the wall, you have to do a leg to the ground. Sometimes you'll have a situation on a fire escape that's bad, that's bracketed, and you don't trust the wall. As soon as you put a leg to the ground, you've eliminated the concern in the wall. Got it? Because now my building's a leg, my leg is a leg, and I don't need the bracket anymore. Got it? Barbed wire? Okay, so there's various violations that you're breaking now when you start putting barbed wire in certain areas. So just be aware that fire escapes, because of break-in issues, people started getting creative, broken glass, razor blade, barbed wire, nails in the studs, spring-loaded backwards, whatever, all the illegal things, There's ways to keep people off your fire escape. Trucks smashing into your building, a lot of times they'll blow out the veneer, but where's the real damage?
Inside.
Inside on the masonry, right? Because is the fire escape tied into the veneer or just goes through the veneer?
Through.
Goes through the veneer. This is a wood structure, guys. All wood structures in the United States must have a through bolt. So 100% of all wood structures have a through bolt. 95% of all the fire escapes in the US have a pocketed cement, but 5% of the fire escapes in the masonry buildings do have a through bolt. But it's primarily factories, mills. They'll have the plate on the inside.
Through bolting and fire escape also?
All wood structures, and here's, if you guys are gonna get into this, am I building a wood structure? So all wood fire escapes have laid to the ground, there's no need for through bolts. But, what I recommend highly to anybody who's gonna allow somebody for a reduced cost to put up a wooden fire escape that's 2 inches thick in all directions, your treads, your sides, built to 100 pounds per square foot, is have the carpenter build, through an ironworker, build the brackets out of steel and then add wood to it. So the main two supports that you're gonna be putting your starting platform should be a metal frame through bolted into the building, and he frames his whole deck, rails, stairs going down to meet his 100 pounds per square foot.
Is that on that lower, is that a lag bolt?
That lag screw, there's no such thing as a lag bolt. I got pulled my ears got pulled by a guy who made sure I knew that, and I'm like, okay. There's no such thing as a lag bolt, there's a lag screw. It's just to position it. That's just a positioner. But the key, if you see any fire escape, you walk up to a building and there's 3 or 4 lag screws in that bracket, does it have a through bolt? No. So that's the giveaway. When you see a lot of lag screws, there's no through bolt, it's illegal, she's gonna pull away from the building. So all wood structures must have a through bolt. Otherwise, if I can't get back in here and put that, because now they got all finished work inside here and there's no way to get to it anymore, as soon as I put a leg on this to the ground, what happens? Do I need that anymore?
No.
Because the building is a leg, the leg is a leg, and what do I have? A bridge. Got it?
That's that one.
How do I fix that?
What?
That one there,
Pull it
backer
through.
slide?
Yeah, you're gonna have to put a bigger plate.
Well, wasn't there a window up there or something?
Yeah, it's a factory.
Yeah.
So, you basically put a new through bolt and you put a plate capturing more. That's just that the load is too concentrated, it's
Yeah.
ripping right through, it's crushing the brick. Because the cast iron donut is too small. So a lot of times the plate on the inside is 4x8 plate, picking up a stud. Or sometimes underneath the window, they'll pick up the king stud and the other king stud, and there'll be a thing all the way across, and then you kind of bury it in there. A lot of
So-
times in between the two by 4 16s on center, you do all the blocking in there, and then you put the plate on the blocking.
So can you give us like a rule of thumb, thickness or of the steel and like
Yeah.
size of the plate that would work?
Yeah, rule of thumb, it's, again, you gotta pick up one stud for this side, you gotta pick up one stud on that side, and you're gonna pick all the studs up accordingly. And it's usually, they wanna go with 1/2 inch thick, usually plate, 4x8 plate. Sometimes you can do an 8x8 plate, because don't forget, it's what are you picking up? So some guys mistakenly put it in between the 2/16s, and all they're doing is putting pressure against the 3/4 wood on the outside. It's supposed to pick up a stud, so that's why every now and then, between the 2x16s, 2x4s, 16 on center, you basically double up 2x10s in there, toenail it this way, then you through bolt through here and you put the plate inside here. So now you're picking up you gotta rip out 2x4s, but you pick up the king on this side of the window, pick up the king on this other side of the window with both individual. But sometimes on some windows that you're not doing that, you just run up. Some owners, they don't give a shit, they'll just put a piece of 4x32 inch flat exposed, on the outside. They don't care what it looks like to the tenants, because they don't like the tenants, a lot of people, it's dressed and it's nice and tight inside and non-visible. Some you get there, and the through bolt is right there, I mean, the plate is right outside exposed. Cantilevers. We're gonna talk about another life safety issue. Cantilevers with a chain. And we're gonna show you why. If you have a cantilever in your city with a chain on it, it's a life safety issue. Okay? So, here's how they're supposed to be built. Single action requiring no special knowledge. Got it? So, I'm a woman coming here with a 150-pound woman with a 50-pound child. So this is scenario number one. I get to this bar that's called a release bar, and it's blocking my way. So whether I know what to do or not, and I run through it, what happens? It rotates, right? As it rotates coming down here, there's a little 6-inch piece that's holding my cantilever that wants to go up. So as soon as it rotates away, what's it let the cantilever do? Lets it drop 2 to 3 feet per second, hit the ground, and stay down. So, single action require no special knowledge. I go through that, it rotates here, releasing this. This cantilever, which is 2/3, 1/3, right there on the nose, it weighs 25 pounds more. So not only does it come down 2 to 3 feet per second, if I want to throw it back up, how easy is it for me? It's perfectly balanced, it only weighs 25 pounds, so I can grab the nose. Somebody up above can grab the arm. When I throw it up, it goes up, and what does somebody upstairs do? Resets it. Got it? It's ready for the next emergency years later. Got it? That's how it works. And so when the mom comes down with the daughter in tow, through here, by the time she gets here, this thing's already in a down position, and she self-evacuates. Single action, requiring no special knowledge. She uses it, she doesn't need you. Whether you show up a minute, 10 minutes, or an hour later, what's the tenant have to do with the situation? Nothing, right? Now, scenario number two, you have a cantilever in your city that the nose was starting to get to the sky because the weight box full of crap in the back was starting to fill with water, and rust grows and gets heavy. And so when it gets heavy, what do? What happens to the nose? You as a fire official or a building official walk in the alleyways, you see this thing starting to point to the sky, what do you write?
Fail.
Red.
You write a violation, right? He calls around and says, how much to fix this out of balance cantilever? Somebody says, oh, $3,000. $3,000, you crazy? So he goes to Home Depot with 30 bucks, and what's he buy?
Back.
Chain. And he takes chain and he ties it over here, and he takes chain and he ties it up there, and he makes it horizontal. And he calls you and says, hey, I took care of the problem. He goes, oh, is it aiming to the sky anymore? He says, no. You took care of it? Took care of it. So it's out of balance, right? In the wrong direction, right? So every fire escape that has a chain on the back, if you were to cut that chain, what happens to the cantilever? What will it do?
Go up.
So is that a life safety issue?
Yes. Cool.
So every chain you're now going to see on a cantilever is a life safety issue, right? So the woman comes down, there is no release arm there because it's out of balance. So a lot of times, what do they do with these release arms when they put a chain on it?
Cut them off.
Disable.
Right? So they cut them away. So now she comes down, 150 pounds, 50-pound child behind her, and she starts going out 2 or 3 steps. What happens? Nothing.
Sorry.
It's weighted backwards.
Right.
She goes 3 to 5 steps. What happens?
Nothing.
Nothing. But she goes out 5 to 8 steps. What happens?
Goes down.
Per 150 pounds. It's more than enough to start the process. 2 to 3 feet per second or 5 to 10 feet per second?
5 to 10.
5 to 10, this thing comes down, slams on the ground,
She's bouncing.
and she is possibly gonna go that way, but because the thing is falling, what's your tendency? Lean forward or kick back? When she kicks back, knocks her daughter down, this thing slams the ground, she screams, her daughter cries, and it hits the ground. And now where's it gonna stay? It's gonna stay on the ground, because she's where? She's 8 steps down. She tells her daughter to stop crying, and both of them are in their PJs, right? And she goes further down, daughter in tow, she She steps 150 pounds off the cantilever,
The
and what
kid
happens?
goes up.
Her daughter goes up now. Her daughter's now up 12 to 14 feet in the air because cantilevers are 12 to 14 feet for what reason?
Security.
Trucks, garbage trucks, right? In alleyways, that's why they're 12 to 14, so that trucks don't smash into them. They have to be that high. So,
Kids up there can't get.
she's up there, the daughter's up there, and she tells the daughter to do what?
Jump.
And the daughter does what?
Jumps.
Doesn't jump. So, she runs back down the alleyway to go in the front of the building in her PJs, and she forgets what?
Keys.
To open up what?
No.
So she tries to grab something in the air to do what? Smash the window to get back in and go back into a burning building, right? You guys show up then, right? Say, what are you doing, crazy lady out here in your PJs? She goes, oh, my daughter. So you guys run down the alleyway and tell the daughter to do what?
Jump.
Jump. The daughter says what? So you guys run back to your fire truck and go get the pole. Pike pole, right? Go up there and grab it, pull it down, put your foot on it, reunite mom and the daughter, right? And they get away. What do you do with your foot?
Take it off.
If you do that, what happens?
Pipe pole goes up in the air.
So what do you do? What's that guy do? You just lost one guy to do what?
hold the ladder down.
Hold the thing down. Is that how it's supposed to be? Is that single action requiring no special knowledge? So every fire escape cantilever with a chain has been modified by the owner to avoid a violation, balance backwards, and is it a life safety issue?
Yes.
So some of these with no release arms, they can get quickly out of balance when you get a lot of snow like you guys just got now. When pigeons land, can you get over 25 pounds of pigeons on one end to bring it down?
Yeah.
So that's why people put in these release arms to keep them perfectly horizontal. Or they started putting weights on the back and the chain to basically always hold it horizontal. Snow, ice, pigeons. So now, here's what it looks like. Is that chain correctly put in to a place that it should be? And does that can that bracket handle the load of the impact when this thing comes down?
No.
That release arm is fully open. Is this thing doing anything?
That's no good.
Is this a life safety issue? Is this a life safety issue?
Yes.
So trash trucks, people smashing into these things. As soon as you see a thing that just doesn't look right,
That is messed up.
right? Life safety issue. Trash trucks. See the chain right there? So not only did it smash, it still has a chain on it. So as soon as you lose a cantilever for any reason, can people self-evacuate?
No.
So they're trapped on the upper floors. And when you show up to fight the fire, what's the first? Is it a firefight or a rescue mission?
Rescue.
So, is that what you want to be doing? So is this a life safety issue? Minutes count, people are dead. Moving trucks, trash trucks, they do this all the time. What's the immediate answer to make this functional that night so that all 50 people can go back into the building? Scaffolding back here somewhere?
Holiday Inn.
Staircases. So not only your treads are problems, the fire escape is not properly attached at the top, properly attached at the bottom, you can lose a whole staircase, not just a tread. So if the stringer at the very top is full of rust, you're losing the tread or you're losing the staircase?
Staircase.
This is a hotel, a 24-story hotel in Chicago, 8 stories up, with a zoom lens. I took this photo.
Wow, that's bad.
How long has that rust been growing? Look how much rust is here. Look how much rust is there. A lot of this is because of leaves and trees throwing additional accumulation, organic material in that area, and it just accelerates the rust. Okay? These things, when these treads start falling by themselves, look how much was eaten before snow dropped these treads. When treads look like this, snow actually made these things fall. This is just your kids backing up the family car. Dad, I have something to tell you. Railings, all welded railings, guys. All gonna need a bolt. Every welded connection needs an x-ray or load test, mandatory. Or pop a bolt, no load test needed. So rust, whenever you got a sandwich of anything, guys, it'll always accumulate rust unless you clean it, prime it, silicone it. Did anybody use silicone 50 to 75 years ago?
No.
Today, every connection that gets repaired must have silicone in it. And a lot of your codes state that. It says you must put in some preventive product in the connection to prevent future corrosion. Okay? In Chicago, you know how often they want you to paint your fire escape? By law, every 3 years. In a lot of in New England, we use the slats on end like that. And the way you keep the spacing every 1 inch is with these little spacers that had a 1/4 inch rod with 1 inch spacer, little tubes, and they rod from the inside out. Can I fix them?
No.
Can I reinforce it by putting a piece of flat underneath, a flat on top right next to this, and then mechanically create a sandwich?
Yes.
Can I keep this grading for another 20 years with a reinforcement? Is that other evidence of strength? Right? Got it? So can you save treads and grading with these clips? Yes. So it's not about throwing away stuff. You got some more mileage on these things. So anywhere there's a sandwich, there's rust. So you got to clean it and they got to fill it. Because all those cracks and crannies from ice jacking and rust jacking, when you put it all back together, she won't close anymore. So what do you fill it with? Caulking. 35-year paintable, which is a latex silicone, or 50-year silicone, but it's not paintable. So you can only put it on black fire escapes, and so you got to sort of choose which one you're going to use accordingly. See the treads? If I don't get these spacers, see this one piece of flat here on the nose? That's the one that's going to give way and make you trip going down the stairs or going up the stairs. But as soon as I put that reinforcement that basically grabs the tail, grabs the nose, and creates a mechanical sandwich, we can use these treads for another 20 years, okay? Treads. Sea salt. This is a school by the ocean. You let it go, 25 years. If somebody didn't see this today, they didn't see it for 25 years. 1 inch of rust? Why? A lot of times it's what side of the building it's on. Is it staying wet all the time? Is there a gutter above it feeding water to it every day? Ladders. You guys got some situations that ladders were modified and they create a flop-out ladder. I don't know if you guys have ever gotten one of those. The flop-out ladders are a problem, which I'll talk about in a second. In California, they have sliding ladders. You know why we can't have these here?
They'll freeze up.
They'll freeze up. So in areas that are warmer, you can have these kind of ladders. In areas that are warmer, you can have these kind of ladders. It's called accordion ladders.
Yeah.
Again, they're pre-existing non-conforming, but when you release them, they open up like an accordion, 15 to 25 feet. Fixed ladders, right? So if I'm looking at a building in your city and it ends 7 feet from the ground, is it a violation?
Yes.
Yep, it's supposed to be all the way to grade. So you can put in a slider on this so that it slides the rest of the way. You can take the slider out and put a fold-out ladder that only operates from above, or you can take this ladder out and do a complete stand to the ground.
What does that ladder have to be hooked with? Through bolts?
No, latch screw. You can just latch screw it directly to the building.
Even in the
Because it
wood?
has two there, two there, two there, and usually the spacing is even less.
Even though it's a wood building?
Yeah, it's just latch screwed. They're not required to be
Like.
through bolted.
Through bolted.
Huh.
The brackets are through bolted.
Right.
The brackets are through bolted. And because it's permanent to the ground, it's supposed to have, it's sitting on the ground, so.
Right.
So this is what a balanced one looks like, see? So everything's up, it's got pulleys, it's got cables, and a lot of times these things are on a track of some kind, so in case the cable breaks, they don't fall down to the ground and conk somebody in the head. Goosenecks. You guys got a lot of goosenecks that everybody's scared about. Well, with that 1 year walkthrough by the agent, guess who's going over the goosenecks?
Landlord.
Landlord, agent, or other, right? It's not your rookies. You guys are going to send your rookies out there, right? These are the flop outs. These used to be single ladders fixed that ended 7 feet from the ground. People were breaking into the building, so somebody went in and chopped it and basically folded half of it back. It's illegal, it's a life safety concern, because when you release it or the wind blows it, because usually they have a chain on it, they're supposed to let it out by hand. Is that single action requiring no special knowledge? So when this thing flops out and it comes down, it'll conk somebody on the head down below, and it'll kill or maim them. So this is what it looks like when it's down. Illegal, can't have these. So this ladder needs to be put back on the wall permanently, and if they're worried about break-ins, they can either have a fold up, a slide down, or a permanent stair with a cage around it, but they can't have this anymore. Cantilevers, you see what happens when they get out of balance? Will you write a violation if you're walking down the alleyway, you see that? See what, as it starts to show you? So $30 and a chain. I'll remove your violation. I won't fix it right, but I'll remove your violation. I want to show you the $1 million reason, a million reasons why every well that you'll ever encounter in your state on a fire escape, you will put a bolt through it. So this is a cantilever that in the city of Chicago, you see all the other activity going on? All the ropes and everything? There's a masonry company doing the whole restoration. You get that a lot in your old buildings, masonry companies? And they come in and use the fire escape? Can they use the fire escape as a working platform if it's just been recently certified? Well, they can use it with permission as long as they take the fire escape offline. It's still usable, but they basically own it now while they're doing everything that they're doing. But let's show you how violent it is. 2 to 3 feet per second. Hit the ground, stay down. See all that torquing and wiggling? Right? Well, there was a piece of steel on this thing that when we refurbished this whole fire escape system, that piece of steel was pristine, didn't have any bulge, didn't have any rust, didn't have any tears. You know what fell on some guy's head that was using this fire escape? And they would do this 10 to 15 times a day for 2 to 3 months. Guess what fell off then? That piece of metal that was welded, it broke, conked the guy in the head. Did he have his helmet on? No. So that guy sued everybody. He sued, took 7 years for this lawsuit to finally get through. Cost $1 million. Not 27, which was originally what he wanted. I'll have to explain why. While we were doing this, this cement truck showed up. So that's good, right? That I can show you why things are 12 to 14 feet. But look as he goes on to underneath this one. Look at the chain. So why does this hotel, the hotel that had that 8-foot piece of steel coming out, you know, the staircase coming off? See that right there? See that chain? Because if it didn't have the chain and it was slightly down, what would be happening to every one of these cantilevers when these guys back up, looking in the rearview mirrors? They're looking up or they're looking back? They don't care. It's just backing up. And they hit it, they don't care. You know what I'm saying? So that's why chains. So now I drop it again, look how violent that is. So that torquing, guess what snapped off that 15th piece? So now the guy wanted $27 million. He sued everybody. He sued me, the ironworker that did all the work. He sued the guys who signed off, the architect that signed off, the management company, the owner of the building, the shoe store that rented the building, and he sued the city of Chicago. Why? Because what we signed when we were done with this was to the best of my information, knowledge, and belief. Right? So here he's going, and it's almost in the 7th year, claiming that he was all broken up and he really couldn't think. And so just this past summer, they sent a private investigator to chase him, and he was in a field doing what? Playing soccer, volleyball, and all those things that you're not supposed to be doing when you're... So, instead of 27 million, he got only 1 million. I asked my lawyer, why you still give him $1 million? He goes, because he still got conked in the head. So, the point of that is everybody's going to be back. Philadelphia, the city going to get involved in this lawsuit? Colorado Springs, city involved? So, you accept an opinion letter, you're also accepting what?
Liability.
Because who's smarter than you as a city? Isn't it that design professional who wrote you a letter that says, here's an opinion and to the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, and you say, I'll take that. I'll put it, what did you just assume?
You just assume
Liability.
the liability for it.
Got it? So, but the code, NFPA says, I'll accept by load test, any liability with a load test? None, because you did what the code said, right? was load tested, any liability for you, the owner, or the design professional, after it passes a load test? Or there's the or, other satisfactory evidence of strength, but will you accept an opinion letter
Wouldn't look at it.
with an attached what? So if you accept an opinion letter, what do you want, what do you also want with that?
Load test.
Or what's the other version of other satisfactory evidence of strength? Full refurb with tiebacks into the building verified, what do you get there? And if something does happen catastrophic 2 to 3 years from now, and a bolt sheared, who's everybody suing? The bolt company. It was a product defect. Got it? It's all about shipping liability. So, is there answers for all your mansions and all your buildings? That could be staircases, that could be spirals, this is a YMCA. The only space I had to stick this thing in was right there. That's what we did. Okay? A spiral. So can spirals be the answer? Can ladders still be an answer? When you've exhausted all means of putting in a traditional stair, spirals kick in and ladders start creeping back in as possibilities whenever there's a lack of space. Got it? So where are we going to start this? This is a 5-year program, guys. You don't think you're going to walk out of here and start this overnight, but you're going to get the ball rolling. And with the ball rolling, it usually takes 3 to 5 years to get something going. So as we start working with you and work with industry standard documentation, start getting all the partnerships back together so that the health, the housing, the building, the fire, and anybody else associated with all these structures all have automatic triggers or checklist items on their thing, what's going to happen? It'll take 3 to 5 years, you'll get this under control. Through your local ordinance, you force the 5-year rule. Through the local ordinance, you make sure all your fire escapes get tagged. You continue doing training. So not only do we do this training today, a year or 2 from now, we do additional training, but now we start inviting vendors and engineers into this class who are doing stuff in your city, but like still not getting it, you know what I'm saying? So you bring them in. So we did that with Portland, Oregon. We had 150 people in the class. And it had fire officials, building officials, design professionals, and vendors, and painters who were in the class. And there was nothing better than everybody like, well, I'm only doing this. And like, well, then you're going to accept that? And so it became one of these rules that, as people said, this is what I'm going to do, I just said, well, will you accept that? And what will you guys want? Because there was a lot of like, hey, I don't want to carry all the burden here. So that's what they, so that class got recorded and it's online. So we have our class here. Believe me, the vendors and the engineers need to be pulled into a future class in about 2 to 3 years. Okay? This is what's called the downtown walk-around. We don't have to go to the code, do we? We already know the code, right? How many people are you partnered up with now?
Bunch.
Right? Who else do you have on your side? Right? OSHA. Confidence test. There's confidence tests everywhere now. So if somebody tells you, is this a state document that you're making me sign? What do you say to them? This is an industry standard confidence test that has standard questions, both related to the general structure and to the physical structural components. All right, so all of them are questionnaires, yes, no more opinions. There's the yearly. This is all Boston wants for me. To the best of my information, knowledge, I believe the fire escape is in conformity with the Mass Building Code. So do you think this, just because I come from Boston it's working? But you go outside of Boston, they're following these rules. But sometimes what happens with the king in his castle? They're the last to to conform, but that's okay. I've gotten more done from a grassroots level than I've done from a state level. So, confidence tests, we'll send you these, or you can go online. If you go to National Fire Escape Association, you go on the documents, you can actually download the PDFs directly there. Checklist. Here's that tax letter. City of Lowell, they send out with the tax letter, say, hi, City of Lowell, we're concerned about your safety. Everybody got this letter, but if you own a structure in my city that has a fire escape, there's a law associated with it, I need a certificate within the next 30 days. So with regular mailings that go out, what can you put in? Notice of egress that says, by the way, to not offend the building department, the fire department, the health department, the housing department, You should have a confidence, you should have a certificate of your fire escape egress if it's outside on file with us immediately. Otherwise, fines, fees, and penalties will start in the very near future, and we're gonna start holding paychecks, money, rents. The best one that I think that we've worked with all over the country that has a model to copy, Portland, Oregon. They're about 95% of what I think should be. They have tags, confidence tests. They even tell you what paint to use. And you didn't see that, but one of the issues, they have some flaws. They still talk about welding. And I reminded them, guys, welding, EPA, you can't. Sandblasting changes the whole, nobody, you just can't sandblast, because now OSHA is involved in sandblasting. And sandblasting is the cost of replacing the fire escapes 1 or 2 times over. So, it's a good idea. Confidence test, yes, no questions. Tags, they're all out there. But they're great. So, we're starting a tagging program, and we're tying it in with your fire department trainees. And you're gonna make all those rookies do what? Go out and find them and put what colors on them? Yellows and reds. And find fire escapes where they never thought there was a fire escape. Yeah, downtown walkarounds. Yep, 1, 2, 3 Main Street does have one, this one does not have one. And every now and then you're gonna find some situations. We have buildings that used to have a fire escape, and guess what they did? Took them off. And guess what they forgot to tell? Or you're gonna get there and there's fire escapes and the stairs have been removed, the balconies are still there, and what did they forget to tell you? That those are supposed to be complete to grade, so the fire escape stairs need to be, but they turn them into waiting balconies for plants and fruit. Going down an alleyway, you're gonna clearly see when the next date is. You're trying to avoid people getting killed. You're trying to avoid this that happened in Philadelphia, because you will be sued.
Video over here in
This hand
Philadelphia.
grenade just went off in Philadelphia. You've got a bunch of hand grenades
Witnesses
in
say
your
it
area.
sounded like an incredible explosion when the fire escape.
This is you. This is every city in Massachusetts. Doesn't have to be Philly. Philly is representing you right now. That's all. Tell that to your mayor. Say, hey, we have a bunch of these hand grenades now as we speak. Ready? All exterior steel or wooden stairs. Is this an exterior steel or wooden stair? Well, I'm just saying, does it fit into the category of an exterior steel or wooden stair? Exterior steel or wooden stairs? Right? Exterior steel or wooden stairs, because we now are going to start getting into some farm machinery, we're going to start getting into some oil refineries, you're going to get into some signage. How about these waiting balconies? Are these exterior steel wooden stairs, bridges, exposed to the weather? Do they need to be examined and load tested? Hotels sometimes have these external walkways that go back into the room that end in a stair. Is that an exterior steel wooden stair in all these motels? Ramadas, Pine Inn, local something, whatever. How do you get in every single one of those? Through a long catwalk with a stair on either side. These waiting balconies. So you guys, how about these porches on the back of buildings that have the stairs inside the porch? Is this a second means of egress? Is this a fire escape? Or both? Is it an exterior steel wooden stair? Is this an exterior steel wooden stair? Somebody asked me, how many feet off the ground before you start calling it an exterior steel wooden stair? Well, can you hurt yourself on 5 feet?
Yes.
So all exterior steel or wooden stairs. Spirals, decks. So this is one of those. Let's say that was an apartment complex, and that is my apartment complex. Now, did I just make my deck and the staircase need to be 100 pounds per square foot? So some of these that got built to 60 pounds per square foot when they actually need to be 100. Some of the decking on this is 5/4. In order to satisfy, I need to beef up the structure, and I need to add another 5/4 on top to meet the 1.5 inch nominal. So this is that wood question that came up. Can fire escapes be made out of wood? They already are. This is a typical fire escape right here. Couches and fridges go up and down, but this is only 5/4 wood. Built to 60 pounds. Exterior still wouldn't stair. So on a case-by-case basis, you'll start getting this under control. Handicap ramps. It's a bridge. Must be examined. Machinery, refineries. Don't you guys go up and deal with those when there's a fire? Mechanical equipment, catwalks, roof, siding, not siding, but signage. Bridge overs. Skywalks for hotels and/or institutions. Right? How about this problem? People with a fixed ladder outside their window. Is that legal? Somebody shoehorned that in. So that means somebody made this a 3-family home, and that's what their answer is is that single action require no special knowledge? Now, you put a platform out there and you make a legal ladder to the ground, right? It's legal. But what happens if they never pulled a permit to have this? What can you order upon them? Because they never pulled a permit to make that into a 3-family, or they shoehorned this thing in, but it's been 22 years that this thing's been like this. Can you make them put a door where the window is? Full staircase to the ground, because they never pulled a permit. Not them, somebody else who sold it to them. Or can you work with them and say, you know what, I'm going to work with you. I need a platform, and I need that ladder system all the way to grade. So that usually means a platform there, another platform here, because I can't have over 25 feet of fall for a ladder, you know what I'm saying? And so you basically have a platform to another platform to another ladder to the ground, if you allow it. Otherwise, full metal stairs coming out the door to the grade, because these people pissed you off for some reason. Spirals. Got it? If it's exterior, it must be maintained. Ready? You're the only known slidescape that I know in the U.S. 12-story slidescape. This is Elizabeth, New Jersey, and I told you, we trained 400 of their firemen to basically go out and start spotting fire escapes, okay? It's on the roof, which is right there. And this is when you open up these 2 doors that are 2 orange doors on every floor, because they only have 1 stair, 1 elevator shaft in that Art Deco building built in 1905. When the 2 doors open, this is what you're looking at. This is what you jump in, and it goes like this. Corkscrews for 12 floors. With other people joining the party, by the way, as you're going down, there's other people perfectly timing themselves to basically go in head first, feet first. And what you do is you come all the way down, and then when you hit down here about this floor, it takes a wicked left turn, and it just goes straight for about 25 feet, and you go sliding down this kid slide, because it's about 3 feet wide, and your feet are supposed to hit this paddle on this old iron door that swings wide open, and you tumble out into the street down here somewhere.
Is that fire guy holding him back?
What they actually did is, because the door at the ground, we couldn't open the door at the ground, they called in a rookie. Any rookies here? Is that somebody pointing to a rookie training of anybody? And they had a rookie go in from the 2nd floor on a rope down and kick the door open. And any snakes and dead raccoons that they had there. But you see this? Corkscrew all the way down, 12 stories.
Still in operation?
Yes. Still their means of egress. And by the way, you were talking about some of the schools and stuff. This is what used to be slidescapes all over the country before they got rid of every single one of them.
Wow, looks like a trash tunnel.
Yep. Now you can imagine why they got rid of them, because kids were doing this
Every day.
every day. And that's how you got back into school. You snuck into school through the fire escape.
Sure.
This is that fold-out ladder that they sell if you want to buy one for your single-family home, that basically when it closes, it's pivoting on both bars, and it closes, looks like a drain pipe. But when you open it, it opens up. So See pivots there, but they also have these bag ladders, which are not legal. Bag ladders are not legal, and these ladders are not legal as a second means of egress if you buy it and install it yourself. But it can be a legal third means of egress. Or if I get to a fire escape and it has a ladder, and I want to change that fixed ladder to one of these fall downs, then you're legal. So you can't buy one and make it part of your situation. You can buy it yourself and install it for a third means of egress, but it won't satisfy your second means. Guys, we've been talking about the dinosaurs, and we're almost at the end. These last two things are the end of the show, right? So, the standard fire escape system has always allowed people to self-evacuate. But one of the problems that we've had now is some buildings, especially on taller high-rise, if people get trapped, they can't come down, how do you go up and still evacuate? $2,000 to $4,000, you can have this in your fire truck. Or they can have these as standard in some of these high-rise buildings over 7 stories, so that people can self-evacuate, or you guys can get to the building and help them self-evacuate because people can't come down anymore. Okay? That's $2,000 to $4,000. Then the next one right after it is $2 to $4 million, and basically it's a third means of egress, but more of a elevator system that you can add to a building that's going up brand new, or an old building that's in downtown and they want a third means of egress. These are the two things that are now available that have been.
Well, if you live in a high-rise building, you probably at least wondered how you would get out of there if there was a fire. Those fears became all too real for thousands of Americans on September 11th. Many were trapped in the World Trade Center towers as the floors below them burned. Well, now inventors are working on new technology to help people get out alive. Ariadzer has a look at one invention. Go ahead, step up.
And down he goes. Looks simple, and it is. The Recover-All high-rise evacuation system being tested on this day by firefighters.
I think this is impressive. It looks pretty easy to set up, it's easy to use, it's hands-free operation, it's self-contained. I think it'll work.
Our equipment was designed specifically to be used by senior citizens, by children. That's why we chose a device that is fully automatic in operation. That's why we enclose the victim inside a full coverage suit, which eliminates the fear of heights.
The first step for evacuation is putting on the big suit. Kind of makes you look like a baked potato, but this actually protects you from heat and flames if you're in a real fire situation. The firefighters let us go for a test ride. Picture one of these machines on your condo balcony ready to use, or in your high-rise office stored away for an emergency.
It buys you the time to escape.
We are 6 floors up. Once you push back and let go, the machine lowers you gently to the ground at the rate of 3 feet per second. The ride is smooth all the way down. You never speed up, you never slow down. It keeps you at that same rate all the way down to the ground. So the obvious question on everyone's mind is, would this system have made any difference in the World Trade Center disaster?
My personal opinion is this would have saved
So
some
this is
people.
something that
Absolutely.
all occupants can
This
buy and
cable, they
install in
said,
their
is
building, or you
effective
can
up to
bring to
1,000
a
feet.
fire.
That's 100.
Because it's basically uses compression technology between 2 floors, okay? And you set up the people and you evacuate them out of any window that you want on a high rise. Here's the $2 to $4 million answer, so that in case somebody's building a 10, 20-story building in your city, and they're spending $50 million already, they may want this third means of egress as an option in case you can't get people down to the ground floor. So this is a 22-story building in Israel that has this system that's operational and controlled by the fire department only. Now, this is only because they can't come down the normal way. There's been a problem with the building, and everybody's starting to evacuate up the building. So as you can see, the key here is the collapsible pieces. They bring in 5 firemen, 5 to 10 firemen into the building through this means. Even uneven floors can be dealt with. Multiple evacuations on all floors by a fireman assisting everybody back into these boxes. You can see multiple floors, ground level, or even if it's a window situation, everything can be modified. So now the firemen stay behind, start to fight the fire, and get the next crowd ready, or do whatever they have to do to fight the fire. And basically all these people are on these systems coming back down. And again, they couldn't come down the normal means, meaning something happened on the second or third floor that blocked all ability to come back down, and everybody was starting to go up the building. Now, would have this helped out in 9/11? The answer is yes, because as everybody went up, this is how they would have got them down. But again, this is not a second means of egress, this is a third means of egress. The only option you have here is basically it's $2 to $4 million. But sometimes this is a bargaining chip, you know, because you guys are adding sprinklers, better alarms. This could be one of the suggestions that you make to somebody willing to put a $50 million or $100 million into your downtown. You say, would you consider, you know, a third means of egress in case something happens down below and everybody has to go up? This is one of the approved answers out there, okay? So, let's take a look at this as we sort of get to the very end of this. And look, we're just good, man, we're good. So, the question now really lies on what do you guys want to do with this? Because a lot of these classes are just this. They're classes you go away and you'll never do a damn thing about this. Or it's the part where we start looking at the slow lean forward, because you're going to get pushed back. So my recommendation is that you all get into your positions, lean forward a little bit, so that way in case you fall where? Forward. And then you get yourself up just one more step ahead. It's going to take 3 to 5 years to get this really going. You need to practice one fire escape at a time. You need to have somebody in your area that's really the fire escape guy. Sometimes you're the only guy anyway, so we're already working. We have industry standard documentation that we can send you, or you can go online and get it all. It's the same information. So whether we give it to you or you go get it, it's the same information. We can custom make some of these for you, or because you get it in PDF and or Word, you modify it anyway. So if your legal department sees something that they don't like, it doesn't matter. Just take it out and copy and paste what you want into your own language, into your own city letterhead, if that's what makes the mayor happy, great. Your main point is that you have now just realized that you're not alone in this quest. There's 5 other people that the city or the mayor or anybody has to push back. They're going to push back the fire department. Well, now they're pushing the building department, pushing the housing department, pushing the health department, pushing the safety, you know, the general safety of and the well-being of your people. So tax letters, triggers, you know, you got a lot of things. So you really don't have to really, you know, pull up a flag, because you put up a flag, they're going to shoot you down. But if all of a sudden you start working with all your departments and ask them, and the easiest one is your building permit. Those are people doing something to a building with money they already have in their pocket. And if the fire escape, instead of being the last thing they touch, it now becomes the first thing. And that's in the full renovation of a building. But if they're just changing a light bulb and they got an electrical permit, they're changing a toilet, they fell into the trigger. And then all you're doing is asking for a copy and the clock is started, that's all. And for those slumlords and those people that are going to ignore you anyway, you want to think about fines and fees and penalties, because if you finally resolve that issue 14 months from now, they have 14 months of fines, fees, and penalties, because as soon as you put it into the computer system, there's per diems that you have. Got it? So this is the end of the class. If you have any questions, it can either be now, or if you have any questions, you all have my card. Did everybody grab one of the cards? That 888 goes directly to myself. And if you have any case studies, you know, so I recommend everybody pick 3 to 5 fire escape systems in your before, during, or afters that are coming, and just send me photographs, send me pictures, and if you've got something that happened in the past that you'd like to get a second look at it, we don't charge. Again, everything is funded through Fire Escape Engineers funds National Fire Escape Association, so that's why we're doing this class for free. You know what I'm saying? So if you have any questions, we're basically here to help you basically get ready, because when we're in your city, we're going to do it right. But when we're not in your city and somebody else is doing it, guess what's going to happen? It's going to get done right. And somebody's going to do it. Out of all of it, if we don't do it, somebody will do it. That's all. And whoever does that will hopefully be up against somebody like yourself as a new sheriff in town, saying, here's how it's really done. And by the way, in case I forget, there's 600 videos online now of classes done including the latest one on Valentine's Day, and hopefully all of you have bought your chocolates. Or flowers.
Cisco, do you have a membership side of this too, where people become a member of?
I have, the membership side is just the way that I work with associations, but my intention into the future is to make, which it's not now, a nonprofit, is to make Firescape, the National Firescape Association a nonprofit that's run really by the city officials. But right now, because we haven't got that status, so we don't receive money and we don't have a controlling, board as of yet, but we're only a couple of years old. I only started this a couple of years back when I had all this information and no place to put it. And whenever I used to come out and say, hi, I'm Firescape Services, I want to tell you stuff, they're like, you selfish bastard. You just want to sell Firescape. So we started the National Firescape Association, put all this for free of charge on there. So your class, when you go to the National Firescape Association, will be a clickable thing. So any of your trainees go there, in case you don't have a download, just click on there, or you go onto YouTube and you type in Firescape Seminar, New Hampshire. This one goes up, and was anybody here in my last class? Okay, so there's another class that was done in this very same room. It's already online. It's been online for 2 years, and none of you knew about it. And it was a 6-hour course. But then they didn't have any fatalities in Philadelphia, Colorado, and Chicago. So today you have fatalities that's happened just in the month of January. So basically what we're saying is it's now getting to the point where people are dying, and you don't want to be the one that kind of knew that it could have happened and you did nothing about it. Got it? Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll be here for a few more minutes after this. If you guys want to come and see me and talk to me, thanks a lot for coming to the class.
Thank you.